Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Johnny with RentKit, your one-stop shop for all of your event rental software needs. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at inventory management. So your inventory management is going to be down here in your admin submenu under inventory. I'm going to click to pin this to the top. You can also get there by using our command palette, which is Command or Control K, and then typing in inventory management, and that'll take you there as well. That's also down here in the bottom left. That will open up your quick navigation. And so if we take a look right here real quick, we'll see that we have a nicely formatted and very detailed data grid that shows all of our properties here in the top columns: name, description, stock, categories, etc. So let's start out by creating a new inventory item. If I search for chair, we'll see that we have a white resin padded folding chair. And we just got a new shipment that has black resin folding chairs. So I'm going to create a new inventory item. If you hover over this, you'll see that there is a shortcut key, Command or Control Shift A. So I'm going to do that, Command Shift A, and that brings us to new inventory item. In this video, we're just going to be looking at rental items. These are your standard individual items that are going out and coming back in. This is where you would take a picture. You can upload from your computer, put in a web address, use the camera, or Unsplash. I'm going to see if Unsplash has any good chairs here. I'm going to say black chair. You know what? That ain't no resin chair, but we'll go for it. You can select the size and format and upload. Then we can crop it. And there we have our image. So let's say black resin folding, if I can type. And then we'll just give that. And then here we have our categories. If you've added categories, those will show up here. So I'm going to say tables and chairs. And then if you have departments set up and one of those departments is in charge of the category, tables and chairs, it'll automatically add this inventory item to that department as well. And then here we have vendors. This is a list of vendors that can be used to subrent items when this item is unavailable. You can send a request to a vendor to subrent an item by clicking the Request Subrental button in the Order Details view. So we'll cover that here in a minute too. So if you have one of those, you can say Select Vendors, select it, and then we can use that later on. If you have a front-end website integration with us and you want this item to show up there, then you would turn that on. And that will pull up this formatted website description. So this is the description that shows up on your line items on the invoice. But if you want to add additional context and description, so you could put that in right here. Or we also have this button here. We can say AI generate, and that's going to go ahead and try and create a description for you. It says, elevate your next gathering with Launchpad Party Rentals Black Resin Folding Chairs. These versatile and sleek chairs offer a sophisticated seating solution for any event. Blah, blah, blah. It looks pretty good. So I'm happy with that, so I'll just leave that. And then what we're going to do here is give it some pricing. So I'm going to say pricing daily, rate $4 per day. And I'm going to select that website rate. And then down here we have our inventory and pick list information. We're going to say that we got 100 of these in. If this is a product that requires a certain amount of time, number of days to prep, whether it's clean or repair or whatever it is, before it is ready for the next rental, you would put that here. So this would be common for maybe linens. You got a launder press, all that kind of stuff. So maybe you would have a 1 to 2 day turnaround. Or if you're sending it out for laundry, then maybe that would be more like 7 days. And then here we have our pick list info. So in the dashboard or wherever you're creating your pick lists, whatever information you put here would show up in that list. So this is the information that will be displayed on the pick list for this item. This is useful for adding things like where the item is located or any other relevant information. So you could put something like aisle 6, bay 3. And then if you wanted to add any additional images, you could do so there. I'm not going to enter any depreciation stuff here, but you can see you can start with the item value, expected lifespan, when you purchased it, and any starting profit. Then we have additional info, any notes you want to add about this item. And here we have the information URL. So this says if you have an item specific information website, enter here. This will be used to link in invoices. So this is helpful if you have maybe a dedicated web page for a specific line item that you want your customers to reference. Maybe they're doing something with tents and you have a page that goes over all of the best safety procedures and that kind of stuff. You could have that linked here, and then on the invoice PDF that will show up as a blue hyperlink that they can click on and get directed directly to that information that you want your customer to be aware of. And then just some toggles here for things like is available, whether it's active, taxable, and if we want to enable the maintenance features. So we'll go ahead and toggle that on as well. And then for routing and logistics, if you want to put in the weight, length, width, height, units, and then the dimensions description, this could be displayed on your website in a kind of a more user-friendly way rather than just length, width, height. Sometimes your dimensions is a little bit more than that. Maybe it's like a curved or rounded sofa seat or something like that that you need to be able to provide additional context on the dimensions. And then we have a couple toggles here for stackable. This is useful if you're wanting to indicate whether or not an item should be stacked on top of each other or not, and whether something should be done with more than one person. And then any additional routing notes. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save that, add item. And then you'll also see here that we have add and create duplicate. This is helpful if you're doing if you're adding a bunch of items that are very similar. Maybe you're only changing one thing in the product name. So for instance, linens, maybe you have a bunch of different colored linens, and for each one, all you're doing is changing whether it's a white or black or red or... And if we go back to our inventory management, now if I do Command F to get into the search and say black resin folding chair shows up here, beautiful, and you'll see all of our information is displayed here. Perfect. So while we're here, I want to take a look at some of this stuff here in the toolbar. So as you've already seen, we can search, we can filter directly by categories. And then over here on the right, we're able to export all of our inventory. So just click on that and that'll create a nicely formatted CSV with all of the item data. And then here we have our grid settings. If we click on this, we can see that we can change the row density, how tall each row is, and that's just a preference thing for how much space you want in those rows. Display options, whether or not you like that striped row where it alternates between kind of a white and a light gray. And then we have show filter inputs. So if you have any filters, those would show up right here. So for instance, if we said we want to see any stock that is any items with stock less than 5, we can apply that. And then that that value will show up here. That's just what that means. So I'm going to turn that off, show filter inputs, and then the column filters, whether or not you want to be able to enable or disable the column filtering, and then the actions column, which is, let me see here, just this guy over here. This is useful if you don't want to leave this page. You just want to go open it up in a new tab. You can click on that and that'll show the inventory in a new tab. This button here clears all filters. So you see here we have our current filter with stock less than 5, and if I click on that, then that just all goes away. You can have saved filters where you have created different filters and then saved that view. So for instance, if I click on bundles, it's only going to show the inventory items of type bundle, and you can see that here contains bundle. And then we have minimal. This one has removed some of the columns. And to create those, all you have to do is, make some changes. So let's say I want to pin the name to the left along with the description. So I'm going to throw those two in there. And so now we have made some adjustments, some modifications to our filters and our column layout. And let's say also that we only want to see the ones that are show in shop. So these are the ones that are being displayed on our front end. So I'm going to say show in shop, true, apply. And then if we come over here to our grid settings and come into our templates, we can save this as a new template. So we'll say show in shop, true. I'm going to save that. And now we can switch between different filters. So here's our bundles, and you can say, okay, let's see the ones that we're showing in shop, and boom, there we go. And last thing I want to go over is the bulk actions. So we can select all by clicking on this button here, or we can select individual ones. Let's say that we want to take a look at our chairs, tables and chairs, and then I can select this, and then we can see that these actions button shows up here. So if I click on this, this will show you all of the things that you can do on a bulk scale. So we can duplicate all of these items. We can change the stock amount of all of these items. We can set the turnaround of all of these items. This is useful if you've done like a bulk import of linens or something and you just need to set the turnaround of all of them. That's going to be pretty standard across all of those, so you could set that. Same thing with categories, adding them to departments. You can add a new pricing rate to the selected items. You can increase all existing rates by a certain amount or percentage. So at the beginning of the year, if you guys are doing a price hike, you can change the pricing rate here across multiple items. You can mark it as available or unavailable, and show in shop or hide from shop, and lastly, deleting them. So those are the bulk actions available. In the next video, we'll go over some of the additional features of inventory items, so I'll see you in that one.